Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors, America's only daily outdoor TV show. Your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Ken Paramore. Looks like it's going to be a wet Tuesday this morning and probably this afternoon. I want to get into the weather real quick. I'm filling in for Winston today, who is out of town. Our weather is brought to us by Haney Technical Center. The high today might be 68 to 71, low tonight around 35 to 38. Our Gulf water temperature is 64 degrees, give or take. Our river readings are brought to us by Mountain Dew. Take it outside. Apalachicola at Bluntstown seems to be right near 4 foot. Choctawhatchee at Caravelle is right around 7 feet. Our the tide chart, is brought to us by Kent Forest Lawn. The low this morning is around 10 to 11 a.m. Looks like we're going to have an outgoing tide or an incoming tide all day with a high about midnight. Our marine forecast today is rain, of course. As I said earlier, the winds will be 15 to 20 knots, 3 to 5 up to 6 feet, so it's probably not going to be a good day to venture offshore. Before I close for this opening segment, I want to express my condolences to Walter Woodrick and the Woodrick and Chester family on the loss of Walter's mother. So again, our condolences to them, and we're going to take this break and be right back. Welcome back. I would be remiss if I came on the show and didn't talk about turkeys or turkey hunting. So even though it's late December, almost late December, I wanted to tell you all about the upcoming National Wild Turkey Federation convention, annual convention. It's the biggest show that has to do with turkeys that I'm aware of in the nation, and they have it once a year in Nashville. And it's coming up on February 13th through the 15th, I believe it is, and it's at the Opryland Gaylord Hotel and Convention Center. And if you've never been and you have the chance to go, I highly encourage you to go. It has over 350 vendors who display everything. It's not just turkey related. They have as much deer or more deer hunting stuff there as they do turkey. They have entertainment at night. They have raffles. They have auctions. They have a family village for kids, and it goes on. I think the convention floor opens like at 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. and goes all day, and it's really a good time. It's crowded. It does get crowded. I've been 4 years now in a row, and I'm pretty sure I'm probably going to go again this year. But in the past 2 years, the attendance has been over 50,000 people in 3 or 4 days. So it's a really big outdoor show. It's basically what it is. They call it a sport show, and it has to do with everything outdoors. It's not just for turkey hunting, and it's kind of worth the trip. If you get a chance, we'd love to have you attend. It's really a great time. Second thing I want to talk to you about, turkey related, is our state chapter, state of Florida NWTF chapter, has its annual banquet and awards ceremony in Ocala, and that's going to be on January the 11th. And we also have raffles, dinner, and an awards ceremony at the state banquet every year. And admission is free to all NWTF members, and the meals are free. So anybody in the state that would like to attend is welcome to attend, and all you have to do is be an NWTF member to get in. Second thing about that show is we're conducting a 3-gun raffle, and it's a winner-take-all raffle. We're currently selling tickets. There's only 300 tickets, and they've been selling them statewide. I have a few. It's a Remington gun package, and it's a Remington 700 American Hunter and 6.5 Creedmoor with a Vortex Crossfire scope, a Remington V3 Waterfowl Pro 12 gauge in camo, and a Remington V3 Turkey Pro 12 gauge in camo with a red dot scope. All of these are going to be raffled as one package. The tickets are $50 a piece, or 3 for $100. There's only 300 of them. So if anyone's interested in tickets, I have a very few, but I do have some. Again, they're $50 a piece, or 3 for $100. So you're basically getting one for free, and it's 3 high-end quality, over $4,000 retail value guns that are going to be given away to one winner who's going to walk away with all 3 of them. That will be drawn that night at the banquet, and you do not have to be present to win. We'll take all the state chapter reps will bring their tickets, put them in the bucket, and so it'll be drawn there, but you do not have to be there as long as we have good contact information. And so if anyone's interested in tickets, either get in touch with Winston in the next few weeks, or get with me if you have a means to get in touch with me. My number is 832-0718, 832-0718. That's going to wrap up our discussion pretty much right now about turkeys. Spring turkey season is not too far away, so hope to be back on before then and talk about our youth turkey challenge. We're probably going to start back up for this season, and hopefully around mid to late February I'll have some more information on that, and we'll be able to get that out to you. And got to keep in mind, we got to get these kids involved in the outdoors, and spend some more time out there to see what it's so enjoyable to be in the outdoors and to see what it's like. So we'll be right back. Thanks. Welcome back. As you all know, deer season is upon us. Deer season opened just a few days ago, last Saturday. I was able to go. First, I didn't get to hunt bow, archery, crossbow, or muzzleloader, but I did make it to the woods Saturday and Sunday morning. Had not a successful harvest hunt, but I had 2 successful hunts because I got to see deer both mornings, and I got to be selective with those deer. And unfortunately for me at the time, the one that I really wanted didn't come out, but I saw plenty of deer, and it seemed like, for whatever reason, right after this full moon, they were moving in the mornings, and I could have taken one if I wanted to. So that was a successful hunt, in addition to just being able to be outdoors. But while we're on the topic of deer season, there's been a couple controversial items that have come up this year regarding deer season that a lot of the hunters that I've spoken with aren't too thrilled about, and it's going to take some getting used to. We talked about it on the show here before. Winston's talked about it, Travis has talked about it, but I'm going to touch on it a little bit because I got to doing some research over the weekend on the FWC webpage, and a couple of the topics I don't think have been mentioned as much as maybe they could have or should have been, because of the importance of them to be straight, not to just to put it bluntly. We want to be straight. Obviously, the majority of us want to be straight. And one of the new rules is the new CWD rule, the chronic wasting disease rule, that the commission enacted just a month or so ago about reporting deer that you bring in from Alabama or Georgia. And bottom line is, if you're going to bring a deer in from Alabama or Georgia, a complete deer carcass, you have got to call in and get an importation permit verbally over the phone before you can bring the deer back for processing into the state, because of this CWD issue that, trust me folks, we don't want CWD in our herd in the state of Florida. If we do, it's going to be detrimental to deer and deer hunting. But now, what I found out in my research this weekend was the requirements. You do not need this permit, or you do not need to phone in this if you're just bringing back deer, deboned meat, finished mounts, antlers, hides, skulls, skull caps, if the soft tissue has been removed. So if you're just going to bring back a deer head for mount, you have to call and get this permit to bring it in. Same if you're going to bring the whole deer to a processor, you have to call and bring it before you bring it in. If you have your deer caped out, you cut the antlers off, you bring back no soft tissue, meaning, you know, brain, spinal cord, tissue around the teeth, you do not need this. But if you just one that brings in the deer for processing whole, or you're bringing in a head for taxidermy purposes, it has got to be cleaned a different way, and you do have to call in for this permit if you're bringing deer in from Alabama and Georgia this year. The second thing that has got people riled up about is the reporting process for us here in Florida that have to report our harvest. We've never had to report our harvest, and it's a new thing this year, as you all know, and we've already talked about. But a couple key things that I found, and in talking to other people, found out that if you participate in the antlerless deer program, in other words, the private property antlerless deer program, where your property receives antlerless tags. In years past, we could take these antlerless deer, which means a deer with less than 5-inch antlers, and we could take them anytime during the season under the program with the tags, and tag that deer and makes it legal under that program. This year, you can still do that, but if you harvest a deer on antlerless days, what we call doe days, if your property participates in the antlerless program with tags, you have to use your tag on that antlerless deer. So the confusion was, well, I've got tags, I can take them anytime. You can, but if you took, an archery season is already over, but if you took a deer during archery and your property participated in that program, you still had to use a tag. So I'm going to use my place, for example. I have 2 doe tags. If I take a deer upcoming antlerless weekend, which I think is the Christmas weekend, I have to use a tag on the deer. Now that deer doesn't go towards my bag limit because it's under that program, but the tag has to be used. In years past, if you hunted antlerless weekend, that was a weekend on the state, you could take antlerless deer and didn't have to use your tag. This year, you do. Big change, big change. The reporting process, before that deer is removed from the area of harvest, it has to be logged, and there's a paper log. You can do it a couple different ways. This reporting form you fill out before you remove the deer. Then you have 24 hours to report the deer either on the telephone, online, or in a phone app. The phone app is the easiest if you have the ability and have it on your phone. You can do the initial report, the log, and the reporting all at the same time. Because I'm not so computer savvy to get the app on my phone right now. I'm going to log the deer with a pen and a piece of paper on the log. When I get home, at my leisure, within 24 hours, I'm going to either call on the telephone, or I'm going to try to go online and report the deer online. Maybe I'll worry about the app next year. Make it easy on yourself, but before you remove it, you have to do the paper log. Then you have to either call in or go online or use the app within 24 hours of harvest. They'll give you a confirmation number. If you call in on the phone, the call center is only open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. So you've got to remember, you've got to do it within that window to be legal. They'll give you a confirmation number. And from what I've been told, the taxidermists and the deer processors are going to require your confirmation number before they take the deer from you, because if the officers come to their facility and there's deer there with no confirmation number, they don't have any idea that the deer had been reported. So you don't want that kind of fallback. But my understanding is the processors are going to want and are requiring a confirmation number prior to them taking the deer from you. So Again, it's a big change, but once you get it, like I did in my head, you got to think, okay, I've shot the deer, I've got to do the paper log, and I've got 24 hours to report it, and there's 3 ways for me to do that. On the telephone, online, or on my phone app, which will take care of it all, which means downloading an app, which I'm going to need help having done, but maybe next year. For this year, I'm going to make it simple on myself. 2 big changes to try to keep everybody legal. I think the FWC does understand, at least when I worked for them, that new laws and new rules, we take a soft approach in enforcement, but it's also, highly encouraged to try to get on board and be legal so we don't have complications, down the road. I think it's going to be like anything else once we get used to it. Every other state just about has had requirements to report deer when we go out of state and have gone out of state to hunt. So it's just that it finally got around to Florida, and we're going to have to make the best of it. We'll be right back. Thanks. Welcome back. Some news, FWC Commission news. Maybe y'all knew the commission, well, a little bit about our commission, FWC Commission to begin with. Made up of, I think, 7 commissioners, and they're appointed by our governor. Their terms alternate, rotate. They serve for 5 years, and they meet throughout the state. And the cities that they meet in are predetermined in advance, and they move around the state when they hold their commission meetings. For example, we just had one here last week. It was Panama City Beach, and it was scheduled ahead of time. February is going to be the next one. It's going to be in Tallahassee, and then they go around the state, and they have agendas, 2-day agendas usually, and as you know, they sit and decide all of our fish and wildlife rules and regs and all the controversial things between bears, pythons, exotics, hunting and fishing, wildlife management areas, the fishing size, bag limits. All that is presented by staff, and the commission hears public debate. They get online debate, and they discuss it, and eventually throughout that whole process, laws are enacted and rules and regulations are approved. Last week they were in Panama City Beach for 2 days, and I understand they had bears was one of their topics, which is not a popular topic in the state of Florida, depending on what side of the fence you're on with bears. They approved some speckled trout or spotted sea trout new rules in the state, and I found out online that they discussed and have set some tentative dates for red snapper season for 2020, which I'll share with you in a second. But back to I understand that talking to some people that were at the commission meeting, and I believe Winston went, bears was a topic of one day, and depending on which side of the fence you're on, bears are really controversial between the management of bears and the hunting of bears and the protection of bears, and I'm not going to get into all that today because everybody knows what that's all about. But the Fish and Wildlife Commission is charged with managing those species, so that's that. But what they did set, they divided in another zone for speckled trout, spotted sea trout in the state, and they made another zone in Northwest, I understand. And these sea trout rules are effective February 1st. They're going to bring back a February closure. We had a February closure years ago, it went away, and looks like now we're going to bring back a February closure, which is going to prevent harvest of speckled trout, spotted sea trout in February. The other thing they did, and this has been set, this is not tentative, they approved this to go in effect February 1st. They created this new management zone in the Panhandle. It's gone down from 5 fish bag limit to 3, and they reduced the size limit from 15 to 20 inches to 15 to 19 inches. and you can only have one trout over 19 inches per vessel. So if you're trout fishing with, the way I'm reading it, if you're trout fishing with a couple of people, they can have their daily bag limit of 3 fish between 15 and 19, but you can only have 1 fish over 19 in the boat, regardless of, the way I'm reading it, regardless of the amount of people you have. That's a significant change. Before you could have, each person could have 1 fish over 20 inches. So if you had several people in a boat, you could still have your 1 fish each that's over. Second thing they did was they talked about red snapper, I understand a little bit, but they set some tentative dates. These are not set. They are going to set these dates in February at the commission meeting in Tallahassee. But it looks like they're going to be discussing in Tallahassee a June 11 to July 25th date, which is going to be 45 days, or June 1 to June 13, which is going to be a 43-day. Then they're saying there's the possibility of some fall dates if the quota is not met during the 2020 summer season. So again, tentative, it's not set. June 1 to July 13 will be a 43-day, or June 11 to July 25th looks like would be 45. But it seems like they've got it narrowed down to 2 date seasons opening in the month of June for 2020 for a red snapper. So that'll give some people a chance, hopefully, to set and make reservations or whatever they need to do. It's time for us to get out of here, folks, so I got more to talk about, but I'll have to do it next time. God bless and have a Merry Christmas.
Thanks for watching America's only daily outdoor TV show, Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester, featuring hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.